Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna. This is Coffee, Books, and Bullet Journals. Today I'm going to talk about the books that I read in April. So it's funny, I was just filming my vlog footage, like for this week's vlog. It's Tuesday today, and I was talking about the elephant in the room, which was my hair. And then I realized that I will have videos that go up with this hair before that does. So this is the white elephant. I have changed my hair up. I love it. I kind of do. It's very red, it's very short. There's a big white streak. I'm excited about it. It's my BookCon experiment. I wanted to see how I liked it before, in case like I needed to like dye it back to a more natural color, but I love it. I didn't do anything with it today. I didn't like style it or anything like that, which is why it looks a little bit of a hot mess. But my day started at 4:30 this morning, so like y'all aren't getting anything today. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about some books. So April was a month. I only read 8 books in the month of April, and 4 of them were audiobooks. And 2 of them were graphic novels. So yeah, I listened to 4 audiobooks. I read 2 graphic novels. I read 1 ebook and then 1 physical book. Yeah. In my defense, I did a ton of driving this month. I did like multiple road trips, like back to back to back. There was a 7-day period where I put almost 1,300 miles on my car. So yeah, so I'm not like I'm not hating on my audiobooks. I wish I would have read more. I was in the biggest slump ever though. I think I finished my first book of the month on the 10th. So yeah, wasn't great. Good news is as of the 6th of this month, I've already finished 2 books. So we're off to a much better start this month. Yeah, so my owls did not go as well as planned. So I was able to finish 8 books. Were they the ones that I had originally had on my DVR? Absolutely not. But all 8 did fit into an owl's prompt. And some of them are very fluid. So once the newts come out, I can actually kind of change things up if I really wanted to. I think that might be cheating a little bit, but you know, oh well. So anyways, some nerdy stats and stuff, because I like that. So yes, 8 books, which equaled out to 3,151 pages, because I read 3 tomes this month. So like, it's not that bad. In fact, I'm kind of curious, because I actually do like a stats breakdown. So it's the fewest pages I've read, but only by like 200 pages. So that's not bad. Yeah, it equals out to being 394 pages per book, because like I said, I did have 2 graphic novels on there, but then I had 3 tomes. So yeah, my average rating was only a 3.69. I didn't have that great of a month. I had 1 2-star, 2 3-star, 3 4-star, 1 4.5-star, and 1 5-star. So, oddly enough, not very many half stars this month. But yeah, so let's just talk about the books that I've read. What I'm going to do, I'm still going to do my least favorite to my favorite, but then I'll also tell you what prompts they fit for the magical readathon. And you might have to like bear with me, my laptop's here. It's been a day, it's been a week already, so I might have to refer back to my notes. Let's talk about some books. Alright, the first book that I read was actually a graphic novel, or the lowest rated. My 2-star book was a graphic novel arc that I got from NetGalley, and it was called Dream Daddy, and it was like the Dream Daddy dating simulator, which I never played. It was like a big internet game a couple of years ago, I guess, and there was like, they made a graphic novel about it, and it was super cute. It was very LGBT friendly. Like there was a lot of like male. They were all like dads. So like it was cute. It was fun. But what it was is 4 or 5 stories. I can't even remember how many. And each one of them had a separate, what am I trying to say? A separate art style, which was a little bit jarring because some of them were like real cutesy, and then you would have like this super dark and mysterious looking one, and then you have like a paranormal one. And so like you were like, it was very obvious that we were reading different things. It was not cohesive at all. And so even though it was by one author and one illustrator, it was not cohesive. And the other thing was that right when you got to the moment of like you really start caring for these characters and you like want to see how their relationship builds and progresses, that was the end of it. And it was like cute episodic things, but like no plot. There was no plot. So, I just think I probably, like, am not the audience for it because, like I said, I never played the game, and this, I guess, is, like, pretty close to the game, and I was reading some of the reviews, and it's very obvious, like, if you didn't play the game, it was getting, like, 2 stars, and if you played the game, it was getting 4 or 5 stars. Maybe, like, if you play, I don't know. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. I didn't know that's what it was when I requested it. I thought it was, like, male, smutty graphic novel. I was thinking, like, Sunstone kind of thing. So, that's not what it was. So, unfortunately, 2 stars. My 3-star book was, coincidentally, also the first book that I read for the month. I said in my vlog that I was going to need to, review my, what I thought of it, and I did not do that. So we're going to see what happens here. Okay, so that book was The Shining by Stephen King. I buddy read this with Kylie and Crystal. I think Crystal read it. I honestly don't remember if she actually ended up becoming, being part of it. But Kylie and I read this, and this was, this is one of Kylie's favorite books of all time, and so I said I told her I would read it. And this is another case of, this is not a bad book, but it's not the book for me. I don't read horror. I don't like horror books. They stress me out, to be honest. It wasn't so great. I didn't love it. Yeah, so I didn't love this book. I mean, it was okay. Stephen King definitely knows how to write. He knows how to, tell a story. Not saying that. And this was the first Stephen King book that I've read. I can tell you this is a product of its time. This was written in 1980, and so that was so there's some N-words and some language that you would not be accepted today, but it's Stephen King and it was in the 1980s, so it's accepted. So this is about, if you don't know what The Shining is about, it's about this man who basically he gets fired from his teaching job, and so the only thing that he can get as a job is to become the winter caretaker for this hotel in Colorado, which I did think was really cool because there were some things in Denver. They talk about Arapahoe Road, which I think is actually in Boulder, but I've been on that street. I knew those areas, which was kind of cool. I knew what they were talking about. So, it was talking about the Denver airport, and I go there all the time. So I knew what it was talking about. It was kind of, I like being able to visualize. I apologize. I'm very sick. My nose is running really bad today. I have my essential oils going, but it's not doing much. So that's why I sound like this, and that's also why I'm rubbing my nose a lot. Anyways, so this, so basically then the Jack and his wife and their son, they go up to this hotel. The son has this ability, they call it The Shining, to I don't even know how to explain it really, but it's being able to read people, read their thoughts and their feelings and their moods and things like that, and then he can also speak to other people that have The Shining. And so there's this other character named Halloran, who is the chef, and he leaves for the winter. But he can actually, he has The Shining, and so he can speak to the boy, Danny? Yeah, Danny. I don't know why I can't think of names today. So he can speak to Danny even though, he's in Florida. Which was really cool. That's an interesting part. It was a little bit more, paranormal, not so contemporary. But anyways, that's, I don't want to say anything terrible about this book because it is really well loved. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad book. It just wasn't the book for me. I was also in a slump. And so like maybe like that might have been a reason why I wasn't able to enjoy it as much. That's all I have to say about this. Again, not a bad book, just not the book for me. So that was that one, and then The Shining fulfilled the prompt for History of Magic, which was to read a book that was written over 10 years ago. The other 3-star book that I read was a book on Kindle called Red Hunted, and by Allison Lint. This was a male, female, male, female, I don't know, threesome contemporary romance, and this fulfilled the prompt for Defense Against the Dark Arts, which was to read a book with a title that started with an R, for the redacto, I don't know how to say things, prompt. And this was actually, to be honest, at the very beginning of this book, I was gonna DNF it. Like, it was not holding my attention. The sex scenes were just a little bit choppy, I guess. Like, they were steamy, but they were like awkward, really, kind of. But as I progressed, like, I couldn't, like, I picked it back up a little later in the month as I was kind of getting out of my slump, and I actually really ended up enjoying it. This one was interesting. Again, like I was saying with The Shining, and it takes place in a, when the setting is in a place that I know, I always kind of find that really interesting. And this one, their home base was in Salt Lake City. And so there was obviously like some things that I could like very much visualize in a very accurate detail, which I really liked. This book is about a guy who is a YouTube star, which was kind of fun and exciting. And like he has like a very big channel. He's gone viral. And he does like travel vlogs and things like that. And then his best friend is she and his brother, they have this app that is kind of dying. That's like, I guess kind of like Uber Eats or like Grubhub or something like that. I don't know. It was a little bit like the beginning and the intro and stuff like that. It was very choppy, and that was kind of why I didn't like it at the beginning. But then like once we got into the actual story and the romance part of it, it ended up being pretty good. So anyway, yeah, so they have this app, and so they ended up like teaming the app together for a they did a show together. So like he would document this like delivery. I don't know. It was weird. They traveled around the country and they somehow made videos together. I don't know. Well, the brother was not like in the picture. He's not the third male. There was another guy who's actually like also, he was like basically like a competition for the YouTube star, and he ends up seducing both of the two friends. And so then there is like threesome scenes, which were like steamy. Like the first one was awkward, but like after that it was great. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, like there were some really like good things, and there was a little bit of a suspense, which I wish that there would have had a little bit more of, because it was very quickly resolved. And I think that happens a lot with romantic suspense, is when they have like a mystery plot to it. It's like they kind of string it along through the whole thing, and then like 5 minutes it's resolved. So that I didn't love. It was still an interesting book, so I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. All right, moving on to my 4-star books. The first one I read was Sunstone Book 1, which is volume 1 through 3. I might end up like splitting that up so that it can like fit multiple owls, because it technically is 3 volumes. It's just kind of bound into one, and that's how it was on Hoopla. So Sunstone is about 2 women who are experimenting in their first female-female BDSM relationship, and it is so cute. I loved it. It was, how do I put this? It was steamy. Graphic novel, like smutty graphic novels are interesting just because like you're like literally seeing sex on a page, and so like you're like crossing that line of like, is it, I don't know what it is. But anyways, I've had this conversation on my channel before, and so I'm not gonna like go into detail a lot about it, but I really did enjoy this book. I wish that would have been a little bit more. I think that a couple of the scenes, like it was a little fade to black which I understand you kind of have to when you're drawing it instead of like just writing it. I understand that. I really enjoyed the fact that it was all about consent. They were very, they were very educational, that even though, like the dom was, I mean, like it's a BDSM, so like you have a dom and a sub, but they talk about the aftercare and the, you know, making sure that the sub is okay after a sexual experience, and it was great. That author is very good, because they actually, that author, or like he's a part of that, this writing team that did Swing and Sugar, which I have read and loved. They're very just, I mean, like all about consent. So I love that. And I'm really hoping, I think Hoopla has volume 4 now, so I'm gonna hopefully try to download that one. All right, the next book that was a 4-star read, I finally caved, and I picked this up last month, and so I decided to start reading it. I was really excited about it. I can thank Melanie from Mel to the Any, who like finally convinced me to like start picking it up, and that is The Cool Prince by Holly Black. And I loved it. This is kind of the book that has, and I was kind of talking about this on my vlog today, so you'll see this later this week, or next week. I've kind of started liking fantasy again. I've read a lot of fantasy. I have a few fantasy books on my TBR for this month, and it's just weird like that's what I'm being drawn to again, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really enjoying it. Oddly enough, this was also the physical book that I read. And normally with fantasy, like I want to listen to it on audio. But I physically read this. I very much enjoyed it. I love the world building and the atmosphere. That's, I think, one of the things that I'm really enjoying about fantasy is if the atmosphere is done really well and the setting and the world building is done really well, then I really enjoy it because I like that in a book. And you don't see that very much with contemporaries because obviously like it's just it's the real world. Like you don't need to set it up like you would a fantasy book or a sci-fi or something like that. I say that I really enjoyed it, and I did. Like it was very good. Now I don't feel like a lot happened in this book because I think that it's a first book in a trilogy. So there's definitely like a lot of setup in this book. So this is about Jude, who is a human, and she watches a fairy kill her mother and basically take her and her sister back to the fairyland or whatever it's called. And then she's raised with the fairies, and she goes on to later on she wants to become an assassin or a spy. Not an assassin, a spy. And she ends up getting to become a spy for the court. And it's a very like political book, which I love. And like I might have been a little confused in some of the things, but I'm really hoping that during in The Wicked King that it kind of explains a lot of that. And then also like I'm like, I don't know if I'm like supposed to yet, but I really like Jude and Carden. Like, I like Carden. He's, like, an ass, but, like, I like him. And I kind of ship it, right? Like, I don't know. Should I ship it? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. I'm really hoping, like, I'm going to try to pick up The Wicked King as soon as possible. And, yeah. And then Queen of Nothing comes out in November. And I have already pre-ordered it. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So this is, like, my intro to, or reintroduction to fantasy. And I kind of dig it. Okay, I'm going to talk about my last 4-star and my 4.5-star book at the same time because it's the second and third book in a trilogy, and I liked the second one better than the third one. So I can't talk a lot about these books because, again, it's the second and third book in the trilogy. But that was Gemina and then Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So Gemina being the second book in the trilogy and Obsidio being the third book. I don't have a hardcover. I don't have a physical copy of Gemina, just Illuminate and Obsidio, because for some reason Book Outlet does not have Gemina. I don't understand. So I'm still on the hunt for that one. Anyways, that's besides the point. So Gemina is the second book, and then Obsidio is the third book. Gemina I gave 4.5 stars to. Obsidio I gave 4 stars to, which I think is a pretty common feeling. I don't feel like I'm in the minority there. Now, Illuminae I gave 5 stars to, and I absolutely loved it. With Gemina, I really liked it, but it was kind of slow. So like with Gemina, you're introduced to a whole new group of characters. You have 2 new main characters. You're like, oh, well now I have to like learn to care about these other 2 characters. And it took me like a little bit to get into, a little bit longer than it took me to get into Illuminae. So I was like, and I even like was talking to Kylie and I was like, I don't know if I like Gemina that much. Like it's not as good as Illuminae. And then we introduce a multiverse theory. And like, yeah, girl's on board for a multiverse theory. So yeah, I loved that wasn't the ending, but like once we hit about like a 2/3 mark, I was like, all right, let's do this. I can get on board with this. So yeah, that's why I got a 4.5 instead of a 5, but it's still a very strong 4.5 book. And then we have Obsidio, which is supposed to be like the conclusion. And then instead of like continuing on with those 4 characters, which we do, we also introduce like a whole crap ton of other characters. And I didn't like that as much because I couldn't keep everybody straight, if we're being completely honest. There were just so many characters, and then you get to the end and you're like, wait, who died? Wait, who are you? Who are you? And I think part of that is because it's a mixed media, so we're not like getting a atmosphere and a setting and things like that, and we're not really being able to understand like the relationships between the characters as much, which is cool. Like that's you know, I still enjoyed it. I loved the mixed media, especially when you're listening to it on audio, but it's like I didn't love the ending, and then I think it wrapped up really nicely, and I don't know that we should have wrapped it up as nicely. I don't know, like the first 2 were just so like, we were like so low, and then we just kind of went back up like, okay, everything's good, we're back to normal. Still very much enjoyed it. Like 4-star book is not bad. Like I still very much liked it. It just wasn't like, I didn't like it as much as Illuminae. So moving on to my 1 5-star book of the month. I only read 1 5-star book, and like honestly, this is not like a 5-star book that is a top of the list. It's not gonna make my top books of 2019. It was a 5-star book because of how it made me feel and how I like emotionally attached I was to these characters who were not human. And that is A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron. I'm realizing that I like have not talked about the owls, so I'll go back at the end and we'll just do it that way. Anyway, so A Dog's Purpose I did give 5 stars to. This is it's from the perspective of a dog, which I thought was cool. It's very first person. It is first person from the dog's perspective, and so like he tries to like explain things that like as a human you know what they are and you know why it's like that, but like as a dog he was like it's there like one part like he's like, oh, my name is Bailey because like that's what the little boy would call him because he would like say his name so many times. Or he was like he's like, yeah, there was this other dog in the dog park called Get Down Max. It was just kind of funny, like that was, you know, because it's like from the dog's mind. But anyways, this book is the first in a duology about this dog. The theology behind it is that if a dog a dog has a singular purpose in life, and that may take several lifetimes to achieve. And so if the dog dies, then it is reborn as another dog who somehow comes back into the life of a human or into like a certain situation because of how, like, because it still needs to fulfill a purpose. So this is the first in the duology. I read the second one I'll talk about next month because I just finished it yesterday. And so yeah, this book was so touching and heartwarming and funny and heartbreaking at the same time. I don't think I've laughed and then cried like within a 5-minute span ever, like while reading a book. So the narrator or the author does a very good job with like connecting with your soul, especially like I'm a dog person, like you know this about me, so you know that like anytime like a dog dies, like I'm gonna, you know, bawl my eyes out a little bit. So I actually listened to this in one sitting. I listened to it on audio on the way back from a road trip, and I did it like in one car ride. And I loved it, and I like immediately started listening to the second one. This just happened to be at the end of the month, so it kind of spilled over. So this takes place over 3 dogs' lifetimes, and he starts out. Is it 3? No, it's 4. Starts out as a puppy in like a puppy mill, and then he's like the golden retriever that he is Ethan's dog, and so he is you know, he meets Ethan when he's a little boy, and then kind of grows up with Ethan through high school and stuff like that. And then he becomes a police dog, and then he comes back as like a hunting dog or something like that. So I don't think that's spoiling anything. And I don't, like, this isn't a book that's ever talked about on BookTube. So I'm not like, I don't think it's something that like a lot of people will want to like hear about, so I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about it. But I loved it. Yeah, and again, like not like the best book in the world. It's not like a stellar writing or life-changing book, but I enjoyed it. I connected with the characters, and that's why it's got a 5-star. All right, so because I completely forgot about some of the owls, I'm just gonna like go over them quickly. All right, so I was able to complete 8 of the challenges. I finished Arithmancy, which was a book by 2 authors, and that was Dream Daddy Book 1, or Volume 1, I can't remember what it was called. I finished Care of Magical Creatures, which was a land animal on the cover, and that was A Dog's Purpose. Obviously, there's a dog on it. I finished Charms, which is an adult book, and for that was Sunstone. I finished Defense Against the Dark Arts, and that was to read a book with that starts with an R. The title starts with an R, and that was Red Hunted. I finished Divination, which was set in a book that's set in the future, and for that I read Gemina. I finished Herbology, which is to read a book with a plant on the cover, and for that I read The Cool Prince. It has a big tree on it. I finished The History of Magic, which was to read a book that was more than 10 years old, and for that I read The Shining. I finished Potions, which was Next Ingredient, and that was to read a sequel. For that, I read Obsidio. And that's it. All right. I almost finished Transfiguration, which was to read a book with red on the cover. That was The Night Circus. I ended up not being able to finish that one in April. That's okay. It is what it is. That is all I have for you today. Thank you for sticking around. That was a hot mess of a video. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, and for some reason you still want to, there's a little button down below the video that you can do so if you would like, and all of the links to my other social medias are in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.